Hello, and welcome to the Dojo Live recap show this Monday, November 13th, where we talk all about some of the great shows we've recently had here on Dojo Live. My name is Kim Lantis, and joining me is my partner in crime, America Guerrero.
Hey Kim, it's been a while since our last recap.
It's been a while since our last recap, that's right. And on this recap, we're actually going to be doing 4 shows covering the past 2 weeks. And of course, we'll introduce what we've got coming up this week as well. So over the past 2 weeks, we've had quite an interesting run here on Dojo Live. Most of the focus has been on travel. But what we did there about 2 weeks ago was speak with Josh Haas, who's the co-founder and co-CEO at Bubble. And that was on October 31st. And it was all about no code and what that's doing for entrepreneurship. Following that up, we got to speak with Madison Rifkin, who is the CEO at Mount. And this was about wandering wisely and recreational assets for travel. Last week, we had 2 shows. Marcelo Bicudo, who is the founder and CEO of Travel Cash. And this is a new idea of how to give cash back to encourage direct bookings. And we wrapped it up with Kathia Alexander, who is a product designer with Encora, talking all about UX design and better understanding the Gen Z traveler. Whew. So quite a lot to get going through. We'll kick it off here with Josh. Now, I know that I had the pleasure of hosting that show along with Astrid, Rebecca here at Encora. And yeah, this was all about no code and how no code is making it easier for people to create and drive more innovation. I really enjoyed this show with Josh, his story being a story very similar to a lot of people, being interested in video games and whatever else, being an entrepreneur from a very young age, and even kind of pivoting. And he kind of pivoted to this no code when he saw a lot of people that he was speaking with in the business world and him working as this like bridge between the projects and the platforms that they wanted to kind of build on their own versus what was happening, and like, hey, you know what, we can do something to make people who may not have the technical acumen but have really great ideas and really good business know-how make this possible. So what they're doing at Bubble is absolutely fascinating. Certainly check it out. I think for me, this is all about leveling the playing field and making tech accessible, right? And not having, that know-how or even maybe the funding or the ability to get a lot of technical people on your team, but still being able to come up with something really, really cool, really fun show. So after that, it was our show with Madison and Mount. You did have the ability to accompany with that one. It was great. What were your takeaways with Madison's show?
What I think that it is incredible that this company, Mount, is making it increasingly possible for travelers to have unforgettable, responsible, ethical experiences while exploring the world, and at the same time be connected with a community of locals. So at Mount, they provide this platform where travelers, hosts of Airbnbs, and local businesses can connect and share recommendations and create a support network. So that is amazing. And I actually remember like sharing that I want to travel to Scotland, and it will be amazing to have a tour experience at the Isle of Skye. So, but with a local, with someone who knows about the history, with someone who knows about the culture, about food. So it is incredible.
Yeah, I think that show is really cool for me because it's this pivot of how I think most of us traditionally look at travel. And traditionally, I think we hone in on a location, right? Where we want to go. And then we figure out all of the details. And then we decide the last sort of afterthought is what are we going to do when we get there? And Madison's take is kind of the opposite. Like, kind of this bucket list sort of thing of what is it that I want to do in life and where is the best place or the closest or most feasible place for me to kind of make that happen. So maybe looking for experience first and the where after, I think was really great. And then her take also on just the future of travel with it being more where it's headed, being very community based. And also the influence of what video and like the visualization of travel is going to do, particularly for the younger generation that we talked about later, Gen Z, and what's happening in platforms, like TikTok or Instagram, and how that's influencing travel. After that, and that was last week, our first up was Travel Cash with Marcelo Bicudo, and that was a really cool show. A really interesting take on how to help solve this problem for a lot of hoteliers, and that is direct bookings, right? How are they going to be able to compete with OTAs and places, not have to pay out those commissions, and create loyalty at the same time? What was your takeaway with Marcelo?
Well, he's a mastermind behind a groundbreaking cashback reward system that it was at the beginning like, how does it work?
How do
So
you double money?
exactly. And without
Or
relying on
anything.
traditional discounts. So, what is truly fascinating is that hotels can offer cashback without incurring extra expenses. So, the company Travel Cash covers an added value, enabling hotels to boost their results without scaling costs. And I
Hmm.
thought that this approach allows hotels to maintain their margins while delivering deals with customers. So that is amazing, and it's something that I haven't heard before, and especially in loyalty. So it was a creative idea and a way to help hotels to improve their bookings and also decrease commissions with intermediaries. So it is amazing. Watch the show.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting show. And it's still kind of hard to wrap my head around, but I think it all comes down to hotels being able to calculate what type of commission or what type of money they were going to have to quote unquote be losing anyway. And then basically only losing half of that because Marcelo and Travel
Exactly.
Cash takes up the other half, well, then therefore offering double for future bookings and things and that cashback
Yeah.
element
And there
for
is uh-huh. Yeah,
for
sorry.
the traveler. Yeah.
Exactly. And there is more. With these cashback rewards come with a 1 year expiration date. And I know that this is something that users really want to. So however users can extend the expiration by just accessing their account at least
Yeah.
once a year,
You don't.
making a cashback
You just
last
have to show
completely.
signs of life,
Exactly.
and that's it. Opposed to many other types of rewards programs out there. Perfect. And then we wrapped up the week with who are we tired yet? This is with Kathia Alexander, who is a product designer at Encora, and she shared all about her studies of the Gen Z traveler, what that means, and what that might mean for new services and platforms, and how to basically speak to that audience and get their bookings as well. What were some of your takeaways?
I remember that the research that she did, it was with Gen Z individuals aged from 21 to 26 who travel at least twice in 2023. Right? I'm included in that list. So it turns out that social media, especially platforms like you mentioned, Kim, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, plays a huge role in influencing, yeah,
Influencing.
influencing, thank you, Yancy's travel decisions. Surprisingly, 20 to 40% is still prefer getting inspiration from personal interactions, but it's something that I knew that it was going on in my head with social media, but it is amazing how the travel behavior for this generation works in terms of planning. The planning process is quite interesting. So they pick destinations based on what they see on social media, and then they dive into the logistics and accommodations and transportation that for us it might be kind of stressful for. So it was good to learn from me based on what Kathy researched.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting and just the shift again of what we might traditionally view travel as, and how travel, going back to the mountain show, is becoming more and more of an experience and more of a lifestyle rather than this, one-off sort of getaway, relaxed, higher end element that maybe older generations have in their minds. It's about budget traveling, even staying close to home and seeing what we can do that way. I think there were quite a few of the pain points identified as well, but one of them was how to go ahead and coordinate travel with groups, right?
Yeah.
And also how to address kind of safety, security issues. So those are some elements that I think anyone in the travel industry might be able to keep in mind as they're developing and trying to attract this generation, right? It's about experience, it's about community, and it's about group travel and addressing certain pain points. Perfect. So yeah, go ahead and check out all those shows on our website or YouTube channel, dojo.live. This week we do have one really great show coming up, and this is also travel oriented. And this is going to be with Ira Vauk, who's the principal at Hospitality 2.0 Consulting. She's actually the author of a book as well. So it's going to be a really phone's ringing. A really interesting conversation as we talk all about Hospitality Tech 101. Go ahead, Ami.
No, I was just saying like it's time for us to finish the recap, but thank you for introducing the next show that we're going to have on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific.